Hey, everybody, welcome to another dynamic episode of the Gold Coast Business Podcast. And today we have a real treat. Today's guest is probably one of the more interesting career paths that I've personally seen and one that you'll hear. Serial entrepreneur, a multi-industry operator, and most importantly, a proud father of four. Welcome, Doug Scott.
Thank you. It's a lot to unpack.
At what moment did you realize that corporate was not for Doug Scott? Hey, everybody, welcome to another dynamic episode of the Gold Coast Business Podcast. And today we have a real treat. Today's guest is probably one of the more interesting career paths that I've personally seen and one that you'll hear. He graduated college, started in food service management with Marriott. Then he accidentally landed a TV production and marketing company that turned out to be an inside sales job. Right? Okay.
Not even knowing yet. Yep.
He became a top producer within 6 months, mastered what to do and what not to do, and used that experience to launch his own business in 1997, which is still running strong today. In 2015, he expanded into digital marketing. I have my competitor on here. By acquiring BMG Creative. In 2019, he stepped into the health and wellness world. As a franchisee of Forever Young, which I personally endorse, I am a client, and now owns the Del Rey and Weston locations. Serial entrepreneur, a multi-industry operator, and most importantly, a proud father of four. Welcome, Doug Scott.
Thank you. It's a lot to unpack.
You know, first thing I want to unpack is one of those children, and I didn't even realize this, dude, you got a pro ball player.
I do. Yeah. So my oldest son, Christian, he's plays for the New York Mets. He's a pitcher. He was drafted in 2021. Went to University of Florida. Got drafted in 2021. Made it into the big leagues in 2024.
Wow, it's so impressive. You know, I something I've noticed, and I'm going to give you kudos here, dude. Tom Brady. You know, a lot of these remarkable athletes, like really the cream of the crop, Michael Jordan. A lot of these guys actually didn't come from unstable backgrounds. You know, Michael Jordan and Tom Brady, probably the two of the most goats, right? You know, they had these unbelievable foundations of family. So, you know, kudos to you. You know, professional athletes aren't just born. A lot of times they have to be made as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a combination.
So we were having some cool chats. I love, you know, I almost wish we had a bunch of this content that we were talking about before. It's probably even better, but you really have a great business mind, man. So I'm going to dig into some business questions.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm excited for this chat.
Sure.
So you were like most people, and I went through this, you worked in the corporate world, right? At what moment did you realize that corporate was not for Doug Scott?
I mean, that's a really good question because like when I was always trained, go to college, get a job, work 30 years, retire, get a pension type thing. And so when I went into Marriott I went there for their management training program, and quite frankly, it was the only job offer I had gotten at the time, but went in there, and it wasn't that I didn't enjoy that job. It just was, I knew what I was getting in return for the effort I was putting in just didn't match up. And so like I took a leap of faith, and I played college baseball, and I've always been an athlete, and I entered an ad in a newspaper that said sports marketing position. I'm like, okay. So I go interview for this job, and I meet with like 4 guys in one day. Like I was there for like 3 hours. And they loved me, and they said, hey, we love you, we'll get back to you. And I went back to Marriott, my job, and they never called me. I'm like, and then finally I called them 2 weeks later, and they said, oh yeah, we want to hire you. We're starting in 3 weeks.
Whoa.
So I said, okay. So I put my notice in at Marriott. By that time I was a district manager at like 26.
Wow.
I'd scaled pretty quickly through a couple weird situations and also some good numbers I was putting up. And I left a job making pretty good money to come into a position I didn't even know what the job entailed. But I just knew that I did not want to work weekends, and the guys that were there I had a good vibe with. So I went to work at this production company.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. After like 1 hour of orientation, I realized that I just accepted an inside sales telemarketing job, and I'd never done sales in my life. Wow. So at lunchtime, I went across the street because I didn't have a cell phone at the time, and called my dad and said, "Hey, I think I made a mistake." Like, he's like, "Call Marriott back, call Marriott back." And I actually called my boss back at Marriott. And I said, "Hey, I'd like to come back. I think I made a mistake." He's like, "Listen, it's not going to happen. We offered you more money. We offered you a better opportunity. We've already hired someone." So anyway, long story short, I went back and I said, "Listen, I'm going to give this 100%." And that's what I did. And so really quickly.
With the sales gig,
yes,
saying, the inside sales gig.
No experience whatsoever. But just competitively speaking, I just wanted to be the best. And so I quickly became their top sales guy within like 6 months. Wow. And like a pit of like 65 guys. Yeah. And that's
the bullpen almost.
That's how it all started as far as like my gut to be an entrepreneur, because I saw these young guys that were the owners and they were entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? And I was there for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And during the 2.5 years, I moved up in the company quickly, but I realized that it was a great company. I learned a lot, but like we weren't delivering on what really we were promising.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that as a lower level employee, but when you move up in a company and you become a VP and you become into leadership, you kind of things are becoming more clear, right? Yeah. And so that's when I made a decision, hey, I can do this with a little bit of a different twist. So I started working on a business plan with another guy there.
Yep.
They got whiff that we were doing this, and they basically took us out to lunch one day and fired us right in the middle of a restaurant.
Now, and you were doing the same business? You kind of took your knowledge?
No, I hadn't left yet. I'm still there, but on the side we were working on a business plan because, to start a business. Okay. And they got whiff of it. And they took us out to lunch and basically fired us right in the middle of a restaurant, almost like at a Jerry Maguire.
Wow.
Yeah. So that led to, we both had 1 year non-competes. Okay.
Yep.
And so for 1 year, I literally washed cars, me and this guy, and collected unemployment for a few months until 1 year. And then we started our company 1 year and 1 week later. Now that company, to date, in history is written a little under 400 million in business. That company.
Wow.
Yeah, over 27 years.
Whoa.
27 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And you said you're the 5th ranked option coming in here? Impressed?
Yeah.
That's so impressive.
In 27 years, you're doing, 17 to 20 million a year in rev. You can do the math, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it all started was, I saw these guys. I probably would have still been there today had I believed in the product and the service, and like I knew we were over delivering. Mm-hmm. And so like I learned some really valuable lessons going into the entrepreneurship, and so that's how it started.
Wow, I never knew this about you.
Yeah,
this is cool though.
Yeah,
this is impressive. Yeah. So it's fascinating, like the whole entrepreneurial journey for people. To the young men and young women that are going to watch this. I see this even in my own company. These 22, 23-year-olds, they want it so fast. Mm-hmm. And to be candid, there's just a natural maturation. Mm-hmm. That you have to feel heartache. You have to overcome obstacles. Right. You have to be resilient. You have to kind of learn all these things. It's very rare someone is, LeBron James, we were talking about all these athletes, at 18, 19 years old to be on a big stage. So it's almost like, my advice to entrepreneurs is your journey is going to be your journey, because yours is vastly different than mine. Right. Dude, I didn't start being a business owner until the age of 40.
Really?
Yeah, I'm 45 now.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I worked at, so that
That's
job,
right.
that job you worked at,
Yeah.
I stayed there for 17 years.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
You know, so our paths are totally different, but
Wow.
yeah, that's cool. Any mistakes that you kind of regret, or any mistakes that
Yeah.
taught you a big lesson?
I mean, for sure. I mean, obviously, micromanaging, was a focus of mine early on. I think my biggest mistake, and I learned this later in life because I read a book, Jack Welch, one of the most famous, successful CEOs, GE. He said, like, my biggest mistake as a CEO was that I treated everybody the same. I was like, why is that a mistake? And he goes on to say, like, I treat everybody fairly, but I don't treat everybody the same.
Yep.
The way he treats his personal secretary versus the way he may deal with and treat his VP of Asian acquisitions and the aviation division of GE is different, but he treats everybody fairly. So for me, learning how to cultivate, relationships was, because listen, honestly, Eric, like, I've been a CEO since '97. I've been a real shitty CEO, and I've also been a good CEO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just to peel back the onion and always self-assess is something that I try to do.
Yeah.
Well,
that's very honest of you.
Yeah.
I think, the whole, and listen, these are like, I don't think these are things that are taught in college, right? Right. So these are some of my frustrations with college, right?
Yeah.
And my position is that if you're a young man or a young woman thinking about college and you're really unsure, my position is you don't have to go to college. But a lot of these, things that I've learned, like I remember when I was 32 years old, I thought I was ready to like be a CEO because I was the man. I was the top sales guy, VP of sales.
Yeah.
I was a bulldog.
Yep.
But looking back, I wasn't ready because you know what? I probably would have micromanaged people. I probably would have been an HR issue. I probably, I wasn't ready to be someone that people could model themselves after. Still partying a little bit on the weekends like a knucklehead.
Right.
And I think to be in the position we are today, like you have to be someone that people want to be and they can aspire to be. And I wasn't that person at 32. I feel I'm becoming that person at 45.
Yeah.
But that's very honest of you. We love sports, me and you. Dude, Phil Jackson definitely coached Dennis Rodman, completely different than Michael Jordan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can't treat those guys the same. And I think that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Like, Dennis was a little cuckoo, so you got to, take the good with the
But he
bad.
still got his 20 rebounds a game.
No doubt.
Like he had his role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So what do you think most people, and I'm talking entrepreneurs, right? That's one of my big passions is, I feel like I didn't have much mentorship or much guidance growing up. And if you or I today can inspire or navigate a young man or young woman to make some good choices today,
right.
What's something you think people should know about entrepreneurship, or what do you think what do you think people get wrong about entrepreneurship mentally?
It's a good question because entrepreneurship is something that I think is understated. That I think a lot of people now think that everybody can be an entrepreneur, and you have to have, and all you need is some money and an idea. But entrepreneurship is really redefining yourself and preparing yourself to be able to create a culture and an environment that allows people to thrive, because you scale with people and you scale with SOPs. You know what I mean? And so, overspending, like, entrepreneurship 101 is you need to make money, more money than what you're taking in. Yeah. Don't be afraid to take pain in the early days, right? Because, my first company, like I didn't take a paycheck in my first company in '97, I didn't take a paycheck for 6 months. Wow. Me and my partner worked as waiters at a catering hall. And then we started taking a paycheck as soon as we started like leveling off. Yeah.
Yes, I think a lot of times guys like me and you, we are the bottleneck.
Yes.
We are the bottleneck, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm been groomed and I'm learning now is that it can't just be Kobe Bryant taking the basketball. I keep using all these sports analogies,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just Kobe, it can't work just giving a guy the basketball and letting him going and trying to score because then you become predictable. You have to be unpredictable on offense in basketball. But what you also need are everybody to touch the ball because psychologically, if they don't touch the ball, they're not going to play as hard on defense.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I look at business as the same way.
Very much.
Like
so.
everybody's got to touch the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Or else they're not going to go do the dirty work.
I agreed. Yeah. And,
Right?
and it's like, it's depending on the industry you're in, right? Finding the right people is super, super, super important. And like, for example, on the interview, in my HR, and in my production company, we've hired probably thousands of people over 27 years.
Wow.
Our HR, like, there's only 2 rules that I have my HR person. And here's the 2 rules. I don't care about experience, but the 2 things, if they served in the military or they played college sport, they automatically get an interview.
Wow.
I don't care if they're a mechanic. If you served in the military and you played college sport, you automatically got an interview with us.
Yeah.
You know?
I get it. No, and
then finding that,
yeah.
Finding the right people is key.
Now, ready? Expand on that. What is it about someone from the military that makes them a more desirable hire? What is it someone about an athlete that makes them a more desirable hire?
Selflessness, working on a team, being in a team, understanding that it's not all about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, I've had to learn that. Like, I always thought like my client, my customer was the clients that pay us to do a service to them.
Yep.
But as a CEO, my customer is my employee. Like, that's who I serve.
Yes, sir.
You know, and if I can serve them, if I can give them an environment where they feel like they can thrive, if I can give them an environment where they feel comfortable and safe, right? I feel if I can give them an environment where they can grow and have some autonomy, like, that's going to spill out to the end customer.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, I love athletes and military people for this reason too. You know, sometimes you have to have hard conversations with people, and hard conversations. I just did a post today about it. Like, the more you delay a hard conversation, you're just kind of compounding the problem, right?
Right.
So you have to be assertive, not aggressive, but assertive in asking the question or having the conversation.
Yep.
And the athlete or the military guy or girl, if you have that hard conversation with them,
Right.
it's a militant response, like they're used to these conversations.
Right.
So you don't get the sensitive
Right.
situation. They're like, you know what, you're right. Okay, good, got it. Won't happen again. Moving forward, let's go. Let's rock and
Right.
roll.
Right.
So I think the sergeants, the generals, and the coaches have kind of coached the little silliness out of them.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're on the same. We're so similar in our thoughts.
Yeah.
Any So what's the best investment you've ever made, and why?
Financial?
Whatever Doug thinks the best investment he's ever made.
I mean, if there's a couple different buckets and silos,
Yeah.
I mean, financially, it'd be investing in real estate early. When I started making money, because I didn't know anything about the stock market.
Yep.
Invested in Apple when it was 22. Invested in crypto when it was 10.
Yep.
That's financial stuff.
Yep.
And then decisions like understanding that the most important title I have on this planet is that of a father. Like, I'm a CEO, I'm a friend, sometimes I'm an enemy, I'm a stranger, a partner, but like, the most important title that I hold is that of a father.
Yeah.
And so when I realized that, and like, I always thought success was money. I really did. And you know what? I get it. And some people think that way. They're not wrong thinking that way if that's how they measure success. And I always measured success by money.
Yeah.
Like once I hit the 2 comma club, I wanted a 3 comma club.
Yep.
You know? And what I view success today is like, if my kids want to hang out with me when they're older, that's success.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've witnessed people, and I remember I witnessed people that had money,
Mm-hmm.
and by most people's standards, they were wealthy, but then their family doesn't like them.
Mm.
You know, their own kids call them a jerk or an a-hole. And I'm like, that's not successful, right? So, you know, Alexis and I are trying to get pregnant right now, us, and I'm saying us because it is,
Yep.
takes 2 to tango. And, you know, I feel for young parents because if you have a kid at 22, 23, dude, you don't got your head right yet. Where I'm kind of fortunate is even though I'm going to be an older dad,
Yep.
I got it way more put together at 45 than I did 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't think people respect people if they don't have a halfway decent relationship with, like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying it's easy because just so you know, I didn't have a good relationship with my mother. She died a year ago. And we just always had a really fractured relationship. I want to blame her, but like maybe I had something to do with it too. You know, so I think, you know, striving to be a model family man, I am going to take very seriously.
That's a good point because like I did not grow up in a great family either. You know, my parents were alcoholics. They divorced, and I was going back and forth between them. And definitely, I looked at that and said, "Hey, like I know what not to do and listen, they did the best they could. Like, and I forever love them. They've both passed away and whatnot. But you know, I was fortunate when I started my first business in '97. Like, I had no kids. Like, my risk versus reward, like my total monthly nut was I was living with 3 other guys in a grand house. So like now today with a lot more responsibilities, I could see that. But like time is like, and this has been, it's used a lot, and you've heard it. Like, time is your biggest asset. When you get older, you know, and you have a foundation of security from a financial perspective, time is your number 1 asset. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What would you, I'd love to have this conversation with myself.
Yeah.
You could tell 20-year-old Doug Scott something. What would you want to tell 20-year-old Doug Scott?
Never pick up a drink. Don't do a drug. Stay focused on personal growth. You know what I mean? Have a relationship with God.
Yeah. God is real.
God is 100% real.
Yep.
Treat others as you would want to be treated. You know, be respectful, be humble. You know, those are things. And I've had to learn that. And you know, I used to care. This is what's interesting. There was a period of time in my life where like I wasn't necessarily doing the right thing. I was partying, doing things that were not esteemable as a husband, as an employer. And that's when I cared so much about what people thought, because I wasn't doing the right thing. Today, like, do I care what people think? I don't think. I am who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am, and I've got a lot more work to do, but like I'm not the man today that I was last year, and not the man I was last week. And so if I can continue, and you know this from Tony Robbins, he has this thing called CANI, and it's C-A-N-I. It's constant and never-ending improvement. Yeah. And if I can just do that, you know, then life is going to be okay.
You know, this is an interesting, I want to unpack this because I haven't put it all together, but I bet if me and you talk about this, we will be able to. Like, I saw you hesitant to say, should I care about what people think or not? Yeah. And I think as business people, we should, because it's our reputation. But we shouldn't care about them if they judge us because we're men of faith.
That's what I was getting to the point where, like, if someone thinks I have a perception of me that I know is not true, I'm not spending time and effort to change their mind or to explain it. Yep. That's kind of what I meant. But like, I've never necessarily had I've never really was worried about telling someone I was a Christian or that I'm a man of faith. I just, you know, I just never have had that as an issue or a problem. But yeah.
I think what I'm leading into is if I was like, I think there's this cavalier attitude, the way people say it, like, oh, I don't have to worry about what people think. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I think no, to a certain extent,
Yeah.
you should care with the utmost importance about your reputation, especially in business.
Right.
So I do care about my reputation. My reputation is everything. It's how we get most of our business.
Right.
You know, there's times where, you know, there was a woman the other day that was just very unreasonable, you know, and I'm sure you've done this.
Yep.
You just give the refund, keep it. It's all good. And, you know, that I'm paying for my reputation there.
Right.
Because I don't want her running around saying, even though I know I'm in the right, you know, I basically gave her $5,000 just to, you know, kind of shut up. And I mean that in the nicest way, because, you know, 1 or 2% of people are just irrational. But I think if a young entrepreneur heard this, and, you know, I keep going back to that, that's the mentorship in me. Yep. Like, your reputation is everything, but don't worry about how people judge you. I think
that's a good point. Yeah. I'm a big proponent on what you said about, like, you know, dealing with those, because you can't please everybody in business, especially if you have a sizable business. And I deal with it completely different today than what I used to. You know what I mean? But like if we fail at something, like if we fail at a service, if we fail at a deliverable, at the end of the day, I want to fail fast and fail cheap. So I want to call them. I mean, so like there's a rule, like if we have an unhappy patient or an unhappy client, like I need to know within 24 hours, and I personally call them, and 99% of the time, that's not true. 80% of the time, you don't necessarily have to refund them. You just have to deal with it fast and just have a conversation. When you need to refund, you refund. It's easy, simple. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I had a guy the other day who he was frustrated in the email. He said, "Hey, Eric, I want to cancel." And I just said, "Hey, well, can we talk it through? I just want to get some feedback." And you know, I got on the call with him and I addressed the concerns immediately, like you said, with speed. And he said, "Oh, no, we want to stay on." Okay, they actually realized it was his goof up. Right. But I think the worst thing that someone can do is avoid.
It's nothing. Right?
Like address it.
Yeah, don't address. Yeah, and as a young entrepreneur, sometimes you just,
exactly.
What's one bad review? I can buy 1,000.
It's everything.
Yeah.
That one. So I think this is kind of cool too. What we're talking about here. Yeah. These kind of, college doesn't prep you for this,
right?
You know, to deal with these types of dynamics in business and stuff. We should start an entrepreneurship school.
I mean, I'm totally open to that with the extra 2 hours a week I have in my life. It's funny because I have 529 college funds for all my kids, and I went to college because you're taught to go to college, and I went to play baseball, but like I've been like this for every one of my children. I started a 529 fund for all of them, but I told them, I said, listen, I'm not a proponent of college. If I'm a proponent for college, if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, right, an account like that. But if you're not looking for like a serious specialty, I would much rather suggest you go learn a trade, invest in yourself, invest in personal growth, and use that money to be an entrepreneur.
Do you think parents, and sorry to call out all the parents here, do you think, because I've seen, and I'm really talking to the young men right now, I've seen young men kind of get persuaded to go to college when, you know, I think they really just kind of wanted to get to work. And do you think there's an element where sometimes the parents pressure them because they want to be able to go around in their community and say, oh, you know, my son or daughter graduated from an Ivy League or whatever? Do you think there's an element of like pressure from the parents, sometimes unreasonably, to push their kid to go to college for the parents' own fulfillment?
That's a great question. I think that's, you know, on an individual basis. Does that exist? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it does. To the extent, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, so, but sometimes, you know, parents live vicariously through their kids' education, or they just want to get them out of the house because, you know, it's time, you know.
I think this is a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on college. Okay. And this is my frustration is when you're 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
you're not allowed to smoke, you can't shoot a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't drink.
You can't vote.
Can't vote.
Right.
Another good one, right?
Right.
So basically what they're saying is what?
Mm.
You're not a good decision maker yet, but you could make a decision on 150 grand of debt.
Right.
I think there's
Yeah.
something wrong there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I don't know. I think what we're observing in real time is entrepreneurship universities. It's evolving, and in the next 10 to 15 years, it's not going to be like it was me and you growing up.
I agree with that. Yeah.
There's definitely going to be some changes.
I think it's safe to say that there won't be college or university sponsoring this podcast after this. But it's very, very true because I can look back at my education, my college education, and I truly, and I mean this with 100% honesty and truth, the only class that I took in college that I used a little bit of that education in entrepreneurship was basics of accounting.
Yes, yeah.
On a balance sheet. That's the only thing. They don't teach you the real truth about entrepreneurship.
And do you have a business degree?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a psychology degree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got it easy, man.
Exactly. And to be fair, I think it helps me in business, but was it what the university taught me, or was it just the way my brain naturally interpreted situations?
Yeah.
Because like when I was 17, I remember me and 6 or 7 of my friends were all underneath a bridge drinking, doing a whole...
Right.
Probably 3 or 4 different drugs. I don't even know what we were doing.
Sure.
And I just, I remember my brain just kind of looked at everybody, and I said, wow, none of us have a good father situation. I don't have one. You don't have one. Yours passed away. Yours, and it made me go, wow, this can't be random that the 7 of us with a struggling parental relationship with our father all connected. I knew that wasn't random, right? So I don't want to give college too much credit for my psychological thinking. It's just what my brain naturally gravitated to, and that's why I got a degree in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a lot of truth to what you said about a strong family foundation. However, there has been super successful athletes and CEOs that came from broken homes, but they just had either an outside mentor, or somebody that could help them at least, along the way. Yeah,
that's a whole other fascinating topic. If you line up 100 kids, 100 teenagers, and they all have great mom and dad, well-to-do financially, they do have a better shot.
I agree.
Than the 100 that come from low socioeconomic.
I agree.
But when you come from that background and you're a high riser for whatever reason, usually it's something intrinsic, right? So look at LeBron James. He didn't have a heck of a upbringing. Right. And, he's one of the most special athletes ever. I'm actually not a big fan of him, but
same.
But you can't deny his, it's almost like he's such a physical specimen.
Right.
So maybe some of those entrepreneurs are physical specimen, mental specimen. Does that kind of make sense? Like maybe they had maybe you had an intrinsic thing, maybe I had an intrinsic thing.
I don't know, because what's interesting is that I never learned to be an entrepreneur. And what's funny is that my dad just begged me not to leave Marriott. He said, don't leave Marriott. You have health insurance. You have health insurance, and you can, it's a big company. You're not going to lose your job. When in actuality, working a corporate job, you have a higher percentage chance of losing your job than being an entrepreneur. Yeah, in my opinion. So I never really, I never got that from my father. What was interesting is my father ended up working for me. Wow. My father actually ended up being my first investor. So when we had that 1-year non-compete, remember, we were pitching our idea to I think we pitched our idea to 20, 25 people. Wow. We were looking for 100 grand back in 96, 100 grand. And we were offering 20% of the company, right? Wow. So the valuation, you could do the math.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find anybody, nobody. Nobody invested in us. So my father and my partner's father gave us $25,000 each. So that's written over close to 300 million, over 300 million is,
Wow.
we started with 50K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it was never taught to me. And I'll tell you, I tell my kids this is what I tell my kids. I want you to be entrepreneurs. My daughter's in her last year of law school. So like, that's awesome. My sons, my other one, they have entrepreneurship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship.
Does your, so I went to high school in Brighton, New York, which is right outside of Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to become a really good baseball player from the Northeast just because you're competing with kids in Florida, Texas, and Cali.
We play year round and all that.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
But the kid, Ernie Clement, is from our hometown. Wow. So like kind of the whole Rochester community on Facebook. And my wife actually went to high school with him.
Right.
And I think I feel like the guy's going to get a big contract.
He will.
Like and I don't know the sport like that, but if he's making $2 million,
no, he's going to get paid
$10 million or more.
He'll get more than that
because he balled out. Dude.
Yeah.
God bless him. Shout out Ernie Clement.
Yeah,
it's cool.
He's going to get paid.
So, not to put you on the spot, does your son have an opportunity to really hit it big like that?
Yeah, I mean, they all do, but like Major League Baseball.
Oh, I just meant in baseball.
Oh, and baseball is very interesting. It's the only. There's 4 top sports, right? Basketball, football, hockey, right? And baseball.
Yeah.
They're the only one without a salary cap.
Right. Yeah, true.
They're the only one. And they're having a big thing where that's what they want. But the interesting thing about baseball is that the way they structure their contracts, the team owns you for 4 years. And then after 4 years, you're eligible for arbitration for 2 years.
Okay.
And arbitration is you negotiate based on your stats what you're going to get paid. So league minimum is like $880 to $900K. So he'll make $880 to $900K the first 4 years. Arbitration, you make based on your stats, you can make anywhere between $7 million and $15 million.
Wow.
Then you hit free agency after year 2 of arbitration.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, the numbers that he put up last year are traditionally ones that guys are going to make $8 to $12 million a year. Wow. They make now. Yeah.
Wow. God bless.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. So I want to wrap up, but as we wrap up, I want to do a nice plug for Forever Young.
Okay.
I've been a client. You guys are awesome. If somebody, let's talk to 2 people here. Okay. If somebody doesn't know much about wellness, like I'm someone that didn't know anything about wellness 5 years ago until I met Alexis, and now I do every program in the book. What is wellness? And give me a brief rundown of it.
Sure. I mean, a lot of things have evolved over time because general medicine has never, in the way medical doctors and the way medical school runs, they don't really look at hormone optimization and how they get paid by door swings and they want people to keep coming back. But wellness in essence is the ability to do comprehensive blood work, and then based on blood work, customize a program that's going to help you optimize energy, sleep, the ability to burn fat and build muscle. So I would say that it's never too late. I got into the wellness space at 51.
Wow.
51. And the only reason why I did it, Eric, now mind you, I'm running 2 successful companies at the time and hadn't seen a buddy of mine. He comes to my office, he looks phenomenal. I didn't even recognize him.
Is it Mario?
No, this was I had to sell a commercial building that I had.
Yep.
And I hadn't seen my commercial real estate guy in a while, and he looked unbelievable.
Young, fit, everything.
He lost like 30 pounds. I was like, what happened to you? And he's like, Forever Young. I'm like, what's Forever Young? And I'm like, John, whatever you did, I want. And that's how I found it. I went there, I did blood work. I found out I was deficient in some areas. I went on their program. I followed their protocols. I lost like close to 33 pounds, got into shape. It changed my life. I approached them and said, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an investor. If there's any opportunities in your business, I'm interested. And that's how I was actually their first franchise guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. What so let's talk to the second person.
Yeah.
Someone who knows of the wellness space.
Yeah.
What makes Forever Young the place to choose?
Well, I mean, listen, there's a lot of great places out there, right? And I would say, like, from a wellness perspective, back to person one and person two, if you're going to invest in wellness, be consistent about it. Like, that's the one thing that you have to be is consistent. But Forever Young, we really focus on trying to provide a concierge service, a customized plan that can help optimize. We're not looking to like push stuff that someone may not necessarily need. Everything that we prescribe, our body already makes. So we're not doing anything like, synthetic anabolic stuff that is not good for our body. But for us, we try to have people like 60 is the new 40 right now.
Yeah.
40 is the new 20 right now. So, if someone comes in with symptoms, we basically treat people based on two pillars, blood work and symptoms.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's, for us, we have highly skilled medical directors, providers, wellness specialists that help. That's why our retention level is so high. Our attrition rate is low.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's been a great ride. It's something that's fun.
Yeah, you guys have a great product, great service, and great people, including yourself.
Yeah.
Dude, this was awesome.
Thank you.
You got to promise to come on again at some point.
Absolutely.
All right. And thank you for coming on, dude.
I appreciate you.
God bless.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, brother.
Thank you. Shout out Rare Blue Marketing. I was going to say, someone wise told me a friend can't become a client, but a client can become a friend.
Yes, sir.
You know how many times I've used that since you told
It's
me?
so true. And you know what? Business people get it.
I've used that
Non-business
like
people.
10 times.
Have you? Good.
Yes.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Gold Coast Business Podcast. We had an awesome conversation with serial entrepreneur Doug Scott today. Make sure to follow him at Forever Young Del Rey, and make sure to follow us. Give us a like, give us a share. Stay tuned.